There we go. Okay, we're on.
What are we going to talk about?
Eddie Gant.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, everybody, all you nailers out there, welcome to the Nailed It podcast. I'm your host, Curtis Warden. I'm joined by my good friend, my podcasting partner, a guy who's been a mentor of mine for, I don't know, since about 2007. I'm joined by a legend in the Houston real estate industry, probably a guy who is a legend in his own mind, one of the funniest people I know, and a guy who's got the thickest Mississippi accent I've ever heard, Eddie Gant.
And the more beer I drink, the worse it gets.
Yes, sir. This podcast is all about having a casual conversation with people in real estate, life, business who are nailing it in their personal and business life. You've done something, or you said something on our podcast. Eddie and I have a podcast with Rich Davis that we started in, I think, at the end or the middle of 2019, called
right.
Investor Game Day Podcast, which was at the Redneck Country Club.
Mm-hmm.
At the Redneck Country Club, for those who don't know Eddie hosts an event with Rich Drake and Renter's Warehouse. Eddie is a part of an owner of Jet Lending. He's also a We Buy Ugly Houses franchisee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what number are you as an account holder at Quest?
Well,
like, aren't you like the fourth person?
They like to say I'm second or third. I don't know if that's true or not, but
that's pretty nice.
I rolled my old 401k over to them years ago, and I do a lot of stuff with it. I flip houses, buy notes, a lot of stuff.
What's your favorite thing to do in real estate?
Make money.
What would you say your favorite venture of making money is?
Man, that is tough. I'd say I like to buy and hold land.
Ooh.
As much as anything.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The biggest parcel of land that you've bought recently? Or just do you buy individual?
700-800 acres.
Wow. To hunt, to fish, or future development?
All the above. All the timber.
Okay.
Timber.
Wow.
I'm getting ready to cut some timber on some of my property.
Is this here in Texas or is this elsewhere?
A lot of that stuff's in Mississippi.
Okay.
But I own parcels all around here too, but I don't own anything that big in Texas.
Right. This is interesting. I sit next to you on a podcast. Uh-huh. We shoot shit all the time, and I never knew that you owned that much land.
Oh, yeah.
But you talk about your doors all the time. How many doors do you have under management?
Rental? We sold a bunch of them last 36 months. I'm probably down to 120, give or take a few. I don't know exactly.
And market goes up, market goes down. Uh-huh. Which one is better?
As long as you react appropriately and make adjustments, they're both advantageous for you. But the key is you gotta watch and see what's coming. And we're in a great seller's market right now. I think everybody knows that. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Or they should know it. If they don't, they're in a cave. And one day it's going to turn. It's going to flip flop on us, and it would normally do it pretty quick. It's not something that's, the ones we've had. It's not a gradual thing, so to speak. When it happens, you got to be prepared for it and make adjustments. If you make the right adjustments and make them fast enough, it's advantageous to you. If it's the other way around, let's say we were in a terrible sales market, we were in a buyer's market, and then when it switches, you make those adjustments and you make them fast with conviction.
That's a great word, with conviction. I don't think you do anything in this market or in the industry that's not with conviction.
It's definitely what you need to be doing. I mean, it's you can. I guess you could make an adjustment with conviction, make the wrong adjustment, and then it'll sting you a little bit. But taking flesh wounds in this business is okay.
Okay. This is good.
Take a mortal wound,
right?
That puts you out of the business.
What's a mortal wound to you?
Well, luckily I had one.
Right.
Come close.
But from people who you've lent money to, people who you know in the industry, what has been a mortal wound that you've seen?
I would say we were close to a mortal wound probably in 08, 09 when we took back so many foreclosures. But we turned a mortal wound into just flesh wounds by making adjustments and making them fast. I remember exactly what we did is we were unfortunately having to take more houses back than we wanted. And it's our only time as a lender that's ever happened to us. We would put 2 signs in the yard. One that said for rent and one would say owner finance. And whichever person walked up on the yard first, that's the one we put in the house. And that's the truth. And it saved us because we had quite a few houses coming back at us, and you can survive a negative $50 or negative $100 cash flow a month. You can survive that. And what you can't survive is a negative $1,500 a month on one job. Can't survive that. I don't care who you are.
You started Prime Loan Servicing?
Yeah, way back though. But I sold that to Steve Skiller.
Yeah.
Rather quickly.
But that was genius. You were teaching people how to create the notes so that you could sell your own inventory, owner finance.
Well, I was only involved a short period of time, honestly, with that.
Yeah.
And it was really Steve Skiller's company, really.
Right.
So.
I just thought it was genius.
Yeah. We pride ourselves. We've been around 21 years now, going on 22, I guess. We're still active. I mean, we still buy houses. We're not trying to buy as many as we used to. 1,700 is enough. That's how many I've actually bought in my career.
Okay.
So we focus on other things now. We focus on jet lending a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, which is a really, really good company for us. I personally focus on helping my brother in some restaurants.
And that's what I wanted to get to. This is the part where I feel like you're nailing it in your personal / business success. Talk about the chicken franchises.
My brother and I own, and Debbie's part of them too, a franchise called Zaxby's. We have 2 stores open. I guess we opened our first store about 4 years ago. They're in Mississippi and they do well. It's chicken. It's there are Zaxby's in Texas. They're not as popular, I think, in Texas as they are in the Southeast where they originated.
Okay.
They're more branded. And in Mississippi, they're extremely well branded, and our drive-through never stops.
Okay. So
that's kind of a cool thing. And I don't, my brother gets the credit for it. I just put up a little capital for it, and he runs it.
And then you got into another one, like a sports bar, right?
Yeah, it's Walk-On Sports Bar. We're not open yet. They have one location open in Houston area, up in Spring.
Okay.
And it does very well. They'll be open in Katy real soon, but I'm not an owner of those 2 here in Houston. Ours are going to be in Mississippi, and again, we're not open yet. We'll be opening later this year with our first one.
And you have one that's going to be close to Mississippi State, right?
Right off the campus of Mississippi State.
And that's where you graduated from?
Well, that's where I attended.
Okay, you attended.
I attended Mississippi State. I actually graduated, and this is a lot of people don't know it.
Okay.
I graduated in civil engineering from the University of Texas at Arlington.
Look at him.
I did a little pause there. Fooled you, didn't I?
You did. I was like, you bleed orange?
Yeah. No, I'm a moving Mav, I think they called them. They actually discontinued football while I was there. Oh. That's true.
The UTA, and then you retired from that after how many years of doing civil engineering?
Well, I never did the hardcore engineering work. I got off into, did a lot of different things. I was in power plants and later some refinery construction, and I worked a long time for a materials manufacturer, repping the materials, and but I spent, I guess, somewhere around 16 years in that industry, and I thought I was old at a old age of 36 or 37. I thought I was old, and I wanted to be I always had that entrepreneurial spirit, and the truth is, I walked into my job and quit, and the next couple days I was in the flipping houses business way before flipping houses was cool.
Way before there was a TV show that inspired you to go do it.
Yeah. You remember the old Barbara Mandrell song, I was country before country was cool?
Yeah.
Well, I was flipping houses before flipping houses was cool. There was no HGTV. There was no flip this house. There was, it was different. There was no technology really.
Right.
I mean, we were, I reflect back on that a lot and just think about it. It makes me smile, to be honest with you, of how different the business was 20 years ago, and honestly how different the business was 5 years ago. And I would say even now I could say this business is totally different than it was 2 years ago.
Right. What do you said this on our podcast. You said this last year I have learned more new things, or you were talking about how 2020 was like a renaissance for you. What's the biggest, would you say, like in the 21 or 22 years you've been doing this, like this last year was basically like 20 years of education in 1 year?
It's hard to verbalize it, to be honest with you, of what 2020 really was about. And it is a big impact. I think technology involvement over the last 2 to 3 years, 2 to 4 years, I think that changed us more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, COVID changed us. I mean, there's no need to say it didn't, but I don't think COVID changed us as much as what the emergence of technology and new technology has done over the past 2 to 4 years. I think that's where the biggest differences lie.
When I walked in and I said, "Hey, I've got an idea," and you and I hadn't talked in probably a year. I walk in one day and I said, "Eddie, I got an idea. I think what we should do is do a podcast before your big meeting." Mm-hmm. You looked at me. What was your initial thought?
I don't know if you agree with me or not. I think my initial thought was, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
You're like, let us talk about it.
Let's do it. I think that was kind of quickly
I think I never saw something like the COVID shutting down. I never would have thought anything. I never thought they were going to shut down the rodeo. Yeah. I thought airlines were too big to shut down. I never thought they would shut down travel, any of that. Never did I ever think in the age of Donald Trump being president, we were going to have a lockdown.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I
was mad at the rodeo.
I
was mad at
you were
sports.
Oh, you walked in?
I was mad at everything because of shutting our lifestyle down.
So behind the scenes, the day that we did our first podcast was probably the third day of the shutdown. And Eddie walked in and he said, "Nobody says one word about coronavirus or you're off the podcast."
Yeah, I'm still upset about it, to be honest with you. I understand it now better than I did a year ago. But I'm still, and I heard a famous speaker say not long ago, at the first phase of this, and I'm going to simplify what he said, it's not in all the details, but at first the fear of the disease controlled your life. Now, a big group of Americans, the fear of losing your financial, I don't know what the right word is.
Stability?
Yeah, losing your financial world has overcome. Now, that's certainly not with everybody, but the financial fear has overcome the fear of the COVID virus. And I think that's true.
Yeah.
Not for everybody, but a huge portion of Americans have switched. And I hope soon we can quit talking about this stuff.
Right. So what do you think investors today, what mistakes are they making? What's the biggest mistakes that you see?
Well, I think the most common one is they pay too much. They get caught up into paying what the seller wants them to pay rather than what they should pay. We see it every day.
Well, I saw a house go up in a subdivision, listed for I think it was like 160 with an ARV of 190, and the guy did an open bid for it and it went for like 200.
Yeah. Well,
With 40 investors.
Okay, you said an investor paid $200 or an owner occupant paid $200.
I don't know who it was, but there was a group of people that were there.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, and I think this is really an accurate statement, and I think people may not think about this. You really only buy. Let's talk residential for a second. You really only buy a residential property for one of three reasons: to live in it and enjoy it yourself with your family. That's one. But that's not the true investor world. You buy it to sell it in some short time frame for a profit, a flip, or you buy it and hold it long term. Okay? If you buy a property for a flip and pay too much, it's going to sting you pretty quick in terms of time. In 30 days, 60 days, 120 days, whatever, 150 days when you sell it, you're going to feel the sting of paying too much, where you either don't make very much, or you break even, or you lose money. It's one of those three. Okay? If you buy a property with the intention to hold it and you pay too much, it's not going to sting you. You can overcome that's what I'm saying. You can overcome the fact that you paid a little too much if you're going to hold it long term. Because what's going to happen, the property is going to appreciate, or 99.99% chance the property is going to appreciate over time, gain value over time. And then if you're carrying debt on the property, and most of us do carry debt, then you'll slowly pay down the debt on the property. So you're expanding the whole time. You're expanding your equity position. You're paying down the debt and the property's appreciating. So the fact that you bought it for a long-term rental, you can survive paying a little too much. You really can. If you're going to sell it in 90 days for a profit and you pay too much, you're going to feel that sting pretty quick. Did that make sense?
100%. 100%. I think I've been saved a lot because of appreciation. If I didn't have appreciation, some of those houses that I built in the Heights, I would have gotten stung on. Right. And you and I talked about this on Wednesday's podcast. And by the way, you can go to Super Investor Meeting on Facebook, or you can go to Investor Game Day podcast and watch. We had a heated debate on that podcast. It was pretty good. But I believe that in the next 6 to 8 months, the luxury market or the expanse of the bigger houses will be a boom. Like the smaller houses, the 1,600 to 1,700 square foot houses will almost be a dinosaur because the price per square foot is costing so much to build. You build at a higher price per square foot, and then in the other world, you get less price per square foot, but you can get a bigger house out of it. Mm-hmm. So I think one of two things is going to happen. One is you're either going to see smaller houses on smaller lots with lot frontage, or you're going to see a wealth gap being created on larger lots with bigger size houses. And that's where I see the market going, the market trading. Yeah. At least where the starts are in the permitting department. Do you ever look at permit starts?
No, not really, to be honest with you. I read the articles, monthly, but I don't pay that much attention to it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it gives me a 6 month to a year out. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, if like in this zip code, I've got 50 new starts, and in this zip code, there's only 10, then I can see where the trend for new construction's going. And with the price of lumber being like 900% increase, it's just only becoming more and more expensive. I think Jason... Don't get me
started on that lumber now. Yeah. It's 900% on the shelf, but it ain't 900% on the stump of where you sell to your cutter.
Ooh, talk to me about that.
Prices are not high.
It's only on the cost to take the lumber.
The shelf cost is high. The stump price is not.
Why is that?
Not enough mills. Not enough lumber mills.
Yeah.
So the lumber mills don't have to pay the big number because of lack of competition. meaning there's more supply on the stump than there's mills to take it. That's for the most part of the southeast around here. Now, don't get me started into the lumber from other areas, 'cause I'm not knowledgeable about
Right.
areas.
I'm not either.
Yeah, I'm pretty knowledgeable over in the south. So it hasn't translated to a higher stump price.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What is your biggest takeaway from these last two, I would say 2020 till today? What is the move that you made that's making you the most net profit result?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, we're making a little money off some chicken. We're making a little money off our rents. We're making a little money off our loans. It's just kind of cumulative.
Okay.
I don't know. The thing that still keeps going out there is, inventory keeps dropping. I haven't checked it today. I don't know where we're at today. We dropped down, below 13,000 houses active in Houston late last week. I don't know if that number's continued. I'll check it today. I check it almost every day, but I hadn't checked it today. And that's still just been mind-boggling to me that during COVID, the inventory continued to dwindle. I understand it now better than I did 12 months ago. I didn't understand it all 12 months ago. I thought it was going to go up.
Yeah.
But it didn't. It went down.
Many people don't know this about you, but this is something that you shared a couple times. You build luxury houses with Chris.
I built a few.
Yeah.
Built a few.
What's the most expensive house that you built with him?
I think that house we sold down in Bel Air last year was 2.6, I think.
Yeah. I think the more people...
But Chris is the builder. I'm not the builder.
No, you're funding the project. Yeah, you're funding the project. But, I mean, that's the fun part, is the funding.
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't have to.
You don't have to do the day-to-day.
The finish-out crew, that's for sure.
Do you like driving by them and seeing the progress, or do you not even do that?
Oh, yeah, I like doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Gets me out of the office. I'm in the office more than I used to be. So
Really?
More.
Man,
I was driving down the freeway the other day, and they'd opened up a new section, 288. Man, I used to be on the road every day in this town. Now I'm in the office too much. I drove. When did this open? I'm serious. That actually happened to me.
How do you think the Texans games are going to change now that tailgates are almost non-existent?
Don't get me on my soapbox. We need to put an end to this stuff and get back to normal.
Right. Well, when do you think?
Like
when do you think that the Raging Bull Tailgaters is going to be back?
I have no idea. I don't like this rodeo being canceled.
I don't like it either.
I don't like baseball games being, I think most of the stadiums in baseball are going to go 25%. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's like a typical Monday through Thursday. It's just the weekends. The weekends were normally packed, Thursday night, Friday, the business fan special on the getaway days.
I will say this, I like to sit on a bar stool every now and then.
Yeah.
I would say a lot of the bars I've been in lately, which is not a lot.
They're packed.
They're getting the crowd back in.
They are. They're packed.
I was in the walk-ons up in Spring last week or the week before, and it was starting to look normal in there.
Yeah.
Well,
it happens, and I think I'll know things are normal when more real estate events and more people are going out for free food and free drinks.
Well, here's a big one, and I don't know where it's headed, but I'll tell you this: interest rates have bumped up last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I'm seeing the effect of that in the stock market.
Could be
as the 10-year bond has gone up. Ton of people are taking their money out of growth stocks in the tech world.
Up. I didn't check with anybody today, but I know late last week I believe because we were getting a lot of homeowners. Now this is interest rates for the interest rates for long-term notes, meaning people to buy a house and live in. We were in that 2.25, 2.5, 2.7 for a while. And I'm told that we're north of 3 now, which is still
it's still great.
Low.
But everybody's freaking out.
But they do. And it's when we were at 6, everybody thought that was great. And then when it went to 7, everybody panics, and that everything slows down. But, you go from 2.5 to a little over 3 and people react to it.
Do we ever get back to 6% interest?
Oh, I think so.
How long will it take?
I have no idea. You need to ask Dr. Mark Dotcher that one. But I think it's a couple of years minimum. I ain't saying it's going to go up that in 2 years, but I don't see that happening in the next couple of years.
What do you think happens to the price of properties when the interest rate increases?
Well, it's going to affect sales, and you'll have more inventory because you'll have less demand. But you need to remember this. People are still moving. Let's just talk about Texas. I don't really pay any attention to what's going on in the rest of the country because my money's not there.
Right.
It's in Texas.
Well, and Mississippi.
Yeah, in Mississippi. You still got people moving here.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're moving here, in bigger percentages than anywhere else. And there's lots of reasons for that, as long as you got more demand than supply, I know that's a very basic statement, and somebody says, that's an ignorant statement. Well, it is, I guess, but it's true. As long as you got more demand, you got supply, then you're going to be okay on holding value. And I don't see the demand shrinking. Interest rates may go up. That will shrink the demand to a certain extent, but I'm talking about you're still going to have the demand from people moving here.
Okay. Let's talk about disruptors in the industry. Disruptors. Yeah. People who are disrupting the industry. You have, I would say the wholesaler disrupted the industry for the real estate agent. I would say the iBuyers are disrupting the world of the real estate agent. I would say EXP is kind of becoming a disruptor for traditional real estate brokerages. Fill in this blank for me and for the people listening with your experience that you have, which is vast, and you're a real estate agent. As a brand new real estate agent, the first thing I should do is to expand my business.
Meaning this brand new real estate agent licensed?
Like today, in today's new world, what I would quit. I would, join some firm. What do you think a real estate agent should do to be successful today?
Work a half a day.
And then do what with the other?
Well, you got to understand what I mean by half a day.
Okay.
That means work 12-hour days.
Gotcha.
The other
work
12
a
hours,
half a day.
12 hours.
Where would you put your time?
Prospecting. I answered those pretty quick, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
What is your superhuman strength that makes you more successful than I would say any other home investor franchisee, hard money lender?
You're obviously not talking about my good looks, right?
I am not talking anything about your dashing good looks.
Yeah, I figured you weren't talking about my good looks. And I know the answer to that. I kind of hem-haw at it a little bit. I'm not the smartest guy out there. It's hard to outwork me.
Ooh.
In my younger days, for sure. So I was hard to outwork.
Right. I still think you're one of the hardest working guys in real estate.
I still go pretty hard, but I can feel it now. I can feel the miles.
Okay.
A little bit.
Tell me about that. When was the day that you woke up, looked in the mirror, and you said, I'm getting a little bit older?
Last year.
Ooh. What was that day like?
Here's what happened. I went on a 4.5 mile hike through the wilderness one day, up and down Mississippi hills and ditches and creeks and through briar thickets and up and down. It was a 4.5 hour walk. A 4.5 mile walk. And it took me, because I was moving, I wasn't trying to run it. I was just, walking through the woods, observing everything. It took me 2 hours and 4.5 miles through some rough terrain.
Right.
I bet it took me 2 days to recover. My legs hurt, my back hurt, everything hurt. And I realized crossing the ditches and the creeks, I wasn't as agile as I used to be. It was hard. The good news is I was able to do it at, I'll just say 58 years old. I was able to do it. I was 58 when I took the hike. I'm 59 now. I was able to do it, but I wasn't as agile crossing ditches and creeks as I used to be, and I could feel it, you know. So it was last year. I felt young until that walk, I think.
What's your best accomplishment in real estate so far for
Longevity.
you? You wouldn't say the amount of people who you've helped make successsul? Your legacy that you're leaving on?
That's pretty cool if it's true. I don't know if it is or not.
Come on now. You created so many people. This guy right here used to call me up with zero of my business. He used to call me up and force me to go eat breakfast with him every Monday morning off of 1960 and 45. We would meet at an IHOP. Mm-hmm. And you were the hardest person on me every single time.
Yeah, well, that's kind of a byproduct, I guess, of it. You know, that's nice. I like it. I hope I've helped some people. But yeah, I guess I took it as what's my most. Do you know how hard it is to run into somebody that's been doing this for 20 years?
Yeah, it's hard.
They've either living on their island and retired, or they went bust, you know, or went back to a corporate job or something. It's hard to find people that's, you know, still grinding it after 21 years. It's hard to find
and you
them.
don't need the money. That's the fun part.
Oh yeah, I do.
You do.
Oh yeah.
To accomplish what?
I might have a bar tab this afternoon. I don't know. Can't go to the bar if I ain't got any jingle in my pocket.
When you stop.
And I say that, Jess. I don't go as bars as much people think I do.
Okay. Well, maybe today.
Not Monday through Thursday. I go to bed early.
Okay.
Jimmy Buffett, I'm a big fan of. I heard him say one time, I now get up about the same time I used to come in. I now get up at the same time I used to be coming in. That's me. You know, at least 4 or 5 days a week.
When it's over, when you're done, you've, I guess, jet lending, you've passed it on to somebody else or sold it or whatever, and all you've got is your real estate. All you've got is your rentals. Where will you go and what will you do? And have you thought about this?
I think so. I think I'll probably always live here.
Okay.
I really do. I live in the Woodlands. I live on the north side. I'll live in the area, I think. I will hunt more. I will go to the woods, ride 4-wheelers and shoot my gun and look at the wildlife.
Your favorite place to travel is?
Probably the mountains of Colorado.
Why do you like Colorado?
It was just cool. I never got to go as a kid, you know. Now I go, and I like it.
Okay.
I like to go to Destin, Florida, once or twice a year. You know.
What are you a bigger fan of, baseball or football?
Baseball.
Spring training, you ever been?
No.
You ever need desire to do that?
Probably not.
Okay. You went to the new ballpark at Arlington?
I did.
Yeah, to go see Mississippi State play?
Yeah, that's a good venue up there. I like it. I like it a lot.
You've been to how many stadiums, would you say?
In baseball?
Yeah.
You know, probably not as many as you think.
Yeah. Mm-mm. I would think you've been to a lot. Where does Minute Maid rank on your, between football, just an overall in-game experience, where does Minute Maid rank?
It's pretty good. I'm probably one of the few people in Texas that's had season tickets to the Rangers at one time and Astros at one time. I like the Rangers just as much as I like the Astros, to be honest with you. I like Texas Rangers. I've always been a fan. I'm a big Astros fan.
Yeah, you are.
You know, I'm a big Astros fan, but I'm a fan of both of those.
I'm a huge Astros fan.
Yeah.
I love the Astros.
And I like them both. If the Rangers, you know, when they get in the playoffs, I'll usually go up there and go to a game. You know.
Would you say that
back to the hold on? I hadn't been to as many stadiums as you think.
Okay.
25%, 30%.
That's still a lot.
But not. I never went to Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium.
Oh, I did. I sat in the bleacher. I was a bleacher creature.
I've never been
to Fenway. I've got to go there, and I have to go to Wrigley Field before it.
Yeah, I've never been to Wrigley. Now, I've been outside of Fenway and Wrigley. You know, it was off season.
Right.
You know, or an off day or something. I've been on the outside of it, but I've never been in the stadium. And I've never been to New York, period.
So
I'd get tired of answering the question, "Where are you from?" You know, with my southern drawl. That's what happens to me in Vegas at the blackjack table. Where are you from?
Would you go back to Vegas anytime soon? You had a bad experience the last time you went.
November was not fun.
Yeah.
It was. I went in November. I didn't like it. And I'm a big Vegas fan.
Okay.
Always have been. It was not fun.
If you were to start over again today, you had nothing, and you were starting today, where would you put your money? Where would you put your time?
I'd probably put it in more chicken restaurants, to be honest with you. But I think your question is more directed at real estate.
No, my question is directed at where would you be investing? Would it be in advertising? Would it be in chicken franchise, buying notes,
the chicken
lending money?
The chicken business is good for us. So there's no doubt in that. I mean, we would go there faster and more aggressive than we did. I mean, we just started investing in that till I was in my 50s, you know. So that's been good, and we're gonna be opening number 3 up this year. And but hold on, I would say this: I'd probably hold a few more properties in some areas. I have bought properties in what we used to call the first ward. They don't call it. You don't hear that term too much anymore.
No,
you know that's the that's the Washington.
They call it
Street.
Washington Ave.
Yeah, that's Washington Street. I've bought properties in there that are no longer there. I didn't tear them down. The people I sold them to tore them down. There, and I've bought a ton of properties around Navigation and Canal over the years. I wish I still had them because those properties are worth a lot of money now.
I'm gonna tell you something. In the chair that you're sitting at last week, Funk was on. Chris Funk.
Chris Funk.
Okay.
I know Chris.
He did an Eddie Gant impersonation live on the podcast.
Oh, Lord.
And he talked about the time that he went to the Texans Grill. You asked the question, we got any wholesalers out there? And he took it from there, and he did the best Eddie Gant impersonation I've heard in a long time.
Be embarrassed. You got to show it to me sometime, I guess.
Oh, you'll see it on. It comes out next week. He said he goes, "Who's buying in Sunnyside?" Did you ever think Sunnyside would be selling at 110, 75,000 for a retread property?
We used to buy them houses in there. And I'm not talking about tear down. I'm talking about livable.
Yeah.
Beat up, but livable. We used to buy them for $10,000 to $29,000.
You bought that property from me on Settee. Remember that one that was at the auction? Oh, yeah. You bought that one from me for like $25,000.
But those same houses, you got to pay, I'm going to say 60 to 80 for them now. And then you'll sell them once you rehab them for 130 to 160. If I think I'm pretty accurate with those numbers. I see enough of them. And that's just, you never would have thought it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's Sunnyside, but you go just a little bit east of there into South Park, same thing. You know, you go the northeast side, you know, let's say Wayside and Tidwell, right there, area that had 4 to 10 foot of water on it during Allison, not Harvey, and it's the same thing. You know, we used to pay that $10,000 to $29,000 for them. You know what's the least amount I've ever paid for a house?
$1.
I had a guy give me a house one time. So he wouldn't have to. Now, this is not an uneducated, you know, person. This was a man in the oil and gas industry, had 3 houses. And I paid money for 2, and the third one, it actually had fire damage. And I said that one. I said, I'll pay you whatever it was. I'll pay you $60 for this one and $100 for that one. That one you're going to have to give to me. But now you don't have to pay to tear it down or pay the taxes on it anymore and blah, blah, blah. So it was a 3-house package, and he just deeded it to me. Yeah, that's true. Now, but when you talk about monetarily, what I actually paid, probably, I think it was around $3,500. and that house was at it's Wayside and 610 on the northeast side of town over there.
Out of the loans that you're closing now, what do you think have you seen bigger assignment fees?
Well,
than where they were probably a year ago or 2 years ago?
My gut reaction is not really.
Okay.
But, I don't pay attention to the assignment fee that much. I'm looking at what's our total loan when I look at a file. What's the repairs? What's it worth? What are we loaning? Not so much this guy paid 60 and he's assigning it for 12 or 3 or 28, we do a lot of transactional funding these days, and that's something we didn't do a long time ago. This is only in the last 3 or 4 years, but that's specifically designed for when the wholesaler is hitting a home run and he or she doesn't want the seller or their new buyer to see that they're hitting a home run.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're just doing a simple assignment, everybody's going to see that on the title, on the settlement statement. But if you do a transactional funding, which we do, where we'll fund it, use our money for 1 minute or 10 minutes or 2 hours, whatever it takes to get the second deal closed at the same title company, then the wholesaler usually is not disclosing what they're making for the most part. If I explained that fairly clearly?
You did.
Yeah, and we do a whole lot more of that than we used to. A whole lot more.
What is your lasting piece of advice that you would have for people watching the podcast?
Well, what particular subject we want to talk about?
It doesn't matter. This is the thing that you just want to leave everybody with.
Well, here's, I said earlier, it's hard to find a lot of people that's been in this grind for 20 years. And I've seen a lot of people come and go. Some of them good people, some of them not maybe such good people. Some of them got in and out of the business for whatever reason. But the one prevailing thing out there that drives a new investor out of the business is they run out of cash. They may have a lot of equity in some properties, but they don't have any cash and they can't maneuver. They get hung up. So protect your cash. Use other people's money. Don't grow too big. Buy at the right price. There's lots of reasons.
These are good.
You do that you don't run out of money, but you can't run out of money. You can't run out of cash. And I've said this before. I'm not the world's expert on a remodel. I don't get caught up in what paint's going here and what paint's going there and what light fixture we're putting here. But I pay attention to the flow of money, though. I've always been good at that. Watch the flow of the money. Make sure your flow of your money don't leave you with zero at any point during, today, the week, the month, whatever. Protect your money. Because you'll be in business next month if you still got cash in the bank.
Yes, sir.
And I've said this many times, you can never get yourself in trouble if you got money in the bank.
Or taking a profit.
That's right. Yeah. So
I would leave everybody with this. I think you're summing this up. It's called real estate, not feel estate.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up in trying to get another property just so that you can keep your crews working. You're there tomorrow. There's always going to be another better deal.
Yeah.
You're only going to kick yourself if you get into the deal that, like you said, gives you a mortal wound, and then you're out of the industry.
And for the most part, not for the most part, we have been able to avoid that. We've come close. At Jet Lending, we're pretty proud of ourselves because, we're just darn proud that you can get on Google and research us, and you don't find any negative. Nobody's perfect, but you don't find anything negative. We try to take care of our clients, and we want our clients to make money. If our clients make money, they'll come back for another loan. If they don't make any money, they're not coming back for another loan. So, Johnny and I ran Jet Lending we're over 17 years now, over 3,000 loans, and we're proud to be part of this. I mean, I enjoyed it. I miss the in-person meetings. We talked about that in the hallway before we came in here. I miss those because that's.
But we're working on it.
Yeah, I know it.
We're trying to get creative.
We not only being good in the business and being honest in the business, but we made our name by throwing a party once a month. Let's be honest, it's a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
I've
been to like 18 straight.
Yeah. we had a lot of fun with our in-person meetings, and I sure hope we can get back to them sometime.
I'm looking forward to being at a table with a crowd behind me, with people coming up to you while we're live on air, trying to shake your hand and talk to you. You're like, I'm on a podcast.
Yeah. That's and I've met so many people. I don't know if this is good or bad, but it's evolved with being in this business 21 years. In Houston, most of the people I run around with are real estate people.
That's right.
I don't know if that's normal or if that's sad or good, but I don't. It's just evolved. My social network used to be, a bunch of people that like sports and maybe from Mississippi or living in town. But it's evolved. It's real estate people, and so I hope we get things back to the way they used to be sometime soon.
Well, I hope that
more fun.
I hope your surgery goes well.
Yeah, shoulder surgery, my second one.
I think you're going to recover just fine.
Rotator cuff's painful.
Yeah, you're going to be in a sling for a while.
Yeah,
and I'll be carrying your weight on the podcast that next day.
Do you know Albert Martinez?
Yeah,
Albert's a friend of mine. I was at the Texans Grill it was less than a month when I had my first rotator cuff, and I had my arm in a sling.
Yeah.
But Albert didn't see my arm in a sling.
Oh, my gosh.
And he came from behind me and threw a bear hug around
me.
Just playing.
Yeah.
He didn't mean it. It was very painful. He felt bad about it once he saw what he had done. Yeah. So, I'll be in a sling come Friday afternoon.
So no bear hugs, anybody?
No bear hugs yet. Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for jumping on.
How much time were we on this deal? It went by quick if that was an hour.
Well, we don't always go an hour, and we try to leave people wanting a little bit more.
Okay.
Just like everything in life.
All right, advertisement. Eddie Gant, Jet Lending. Y'all come see us. We'd love to try to help you. Thank you.
All right, bud. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you keep nailing it in the rest of 2021, and I'll see you at the next podcast.
Well, thank you, sir.
All right.